Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to yet another continuous learning series of Core HRIR Group. Our today's topic is Shaping Career in 2021-22, which has been designed keeping our current students, our future generation of India in mind. And our thought leader for today is Jitendra Panihar, the very versatile leader from who's currently the global head for people and culture, uh, currently working with a company called Mo Engage. Please join me in welcoming Jitendra Panihar to the forum.
Hi everyone.
So, before we go on full throttle to the topic, I would just take about 3 to 4 minutes to give everyone, our new attendees, an overview of what the group is all about. So, we'll just jump over to the presentation and yeah. So we are a group of more than 5,000 HR professionals, and the group is evolving at a rapid pace. And as we talk, we are continuing to grow exponentially. And our motive is to provide opportunities to leverage knowledge and talent. The group was formed in January 2017 with one vision to become a globally acclaimed platform for sharing knowledge and insights, and with a core motive to be one of the strongest group of leaders and motivators who believe in fostering learning, nurturing long term relationships, and remain connected selflessly for the sole purpose of making a difference to the HR fraternity. Keeping in mind our vision and mission, we have been coming up with various initiatives, and the initiative in line, as you would be able to see onto the screen, there are numerous initiatives, and we start off with just one line description of each of them, and would not take too much of time there. So our WhatsApp group is almost like a live wire discussion, which is active with multiple discussions on latest updates, best practices, feasible solutions, etc. We also have our Learning Weekend series, the one that you're attending right now. It is one of our webinar series where we do collaborate with the thought leaders like Mr. Jitendra Panihar and create a medium to enable learning from their rich experience. Our Chai Buddy series is our very own version of our HR Conclave. And this is a great opportunity for all to connect and build a professional network, especially for the HR fraternity. Of course, we do have entrepreneurs and CEOs also attending this HR conclave. In line and coupled with our Chai Buddy series is our Shining HR Award, which was basically formed to create an opportunity for young HR achievers and enable them to showcase their contribution and achievement amongst the HR fraternity. The next in series is our Core Connect initiative. On to the next slide, wherein we invite views on trending topics, and the best insights are shared and published in the groups. We have recently tied up with HRCI, which is a worldwide acclaimed HR certification body. And the collaboration, one of our latest initiatives was to make it affordable for the most deserving HR professionals. So we initiated, one of the talent search or scholarship exams, and we conducted it just last year. And we hope to come up more of such kind in near future. So keep a lookout on our announcements. The next is our Career Center. It is an AI-enabled application tracking system which connects the recruiters and candidates, designed to automatically match resumes to the JDs. One of our next initiatives is Core HRIR Research, which is basically which focuses on the future of work, the impact on HR, some of the topics which have not been so much thought about or discussed about or researched about. And the focus of this initiative is to developing future competencies for human resource business partners, and to create an opportunities for them to get into the research, to showcase their research skills. One of the series that we did come up very recently was the Candid Conversation series. This is basically our effort to get in the views of the business unit heads or the CEOs, get their perspective for HR professionals to better understand the businesses. And if we could just move back to the last slide for everyone's benefit, we would be able to see that the certifications that HRCI has. So for anyone who is aspiring to be an HR certified HR professional, HRCI certified HR professional, HRCI has removed the global experience requirement, and that is a major thing. And it is basically to allow HR professionals to experience and learn while engaging in cross-border expertise. And additionally, the GPHR exam content online has also been updated to reflect a streamlined format and content. So I would encourage anybody who's interested in HRCI, may please go on to visit hrci.org. That's the website. Now, a little bit of introduction about our thought leader for today, who's very graciously spared some of his valuable time for us. So we have with us Mr. Jitendra Panihar, who's currently the global head for people and culture for a company called More Engage. He's not just an HR professional, he's also a consultant, a cricketer, explorer, a startup advisor, entrepreneur, investor, and mentor. So if you were to talk about his accolades, his expertise, which he has garnered in such a short span of time of over 13 years, the kind of achievements he has had, I think we would end up covering half of the webinar. So I'll keep it short and simple. In his 13 years of experience, he's worked in various domains like consulting, IT-enabled businesses, integrated businesses, conglomerates, etc. And the geographies are not just the India or Asia Pac. He's worked across global geographies. He has been an entrepreneur and an investor. He's also an avid cricketer. And today he's just come back from one of the cricketing sessions, and he's really very passionate about about cricket. Now he's also aced the prestigious SSB and the pilot aptitude battery test in the first attempt. He is also listed as a Business Intelligence Board member with Chief Learning Officer Magazine Chicago. He is also a human capital media. He's also part of the Human Capital Media Executive Research Board. So that's the kind of global exposure he has. The kind of organizations he's worked with are HealthCart, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, Cerebrus, Adani, where he has delivered complex organizational transformation, culture shaping, and change management projects. Some of the accolades that he has won through his career of 13 years is, what you can see on the screen. I would just list some of them, and maybe you can read through the rest. He's been the Rising Star of the Year for 2018 by HR Association of India. He's had a certificate of excellence. He's been honored with a certificate of excellence in 2017 by Government of Rajasthan for HRM. He's one of the top 100 emerging HR leaders of 2019, one of the top HR leaders in North India 2018, one of the top training and development HR Mind 2018 by World HRD Congress, one of the top 100 training and development Mind 2018 by World HRD Congress. And the company that he's worked with, HealthCart, was able to get in so many accolades, so many certifications, so many certificates because of his zeal, his enthusiasm, his dedication, and expertise. Just two liners about myself. I'm an HR generalist. Recently started my own HR consulting firm last year, and currently we are in the mode of kind of re-strategizing because of COVID-19. But prior to this, I've worked into the areas of talent management, process formulation, HR analytics, succession planning, and the domains have primarily been IT, ITS, professional services. The companies that I worked with is Pharma Corporation, Dimension India Networks, One Business Consulting, the Smart Cube, and Hydrogen Struggles. Just to give you a brief two-liner introduction, why we really wanted to have this session was when we were talking to different colleges and the universities, as a part of our HR networking exercise, we came across a lot of unrest in the minds of our budding young generation. where they wanted to understand where the current scenario is likely to lead them to into 2021-22. How is their career likely to shape up, and if they need to take the right step toward the right direction in shaping their career, then what should it be? So we thought to invite none other than the very versatile Mr. Jitendra Panihar. And thanks, Jitendra, for being so patient of hearing me out all this while. I would hand it over to you, please.
Okay. Thank you, Kashish, for providing me this opportunity to be here and talk to people while at the same time, learn from their questions, because I always believe it is not a one-way process. So I'm going to be sharing about certain things which I have learned all the way. But I'm also curious in this conversation, and I would also love to learn a lot, about the topic, especially, from the questions that you ask. So truly humbled to be here, and I'm a little embarrassed on the long introduction shared by Kashish. I'm just another regular HR guy, who has a lot of passion outside work as well. So thank you for inviting me here, Kashish. So before I actually start my conversation, I have a very very small presentation. But before I actually start my conversation, I just want to quickly check whether everyone is doing well, everyone is safe at their homes. So why don't we quickly put an okay or a fine in the chat box if there's an option. Kashish, do we have an option there?
Yes, we do have an option, and people can easily put in their comments through YouTube. On the right hand side of the screen, they'll be able to see a comment box.
Okay.
From the user perspective, I think it should be below. It should be below on the screen. But yes, we do have comments coming in, and people are saying hi and good evening. So I'm sure people are able to make out where
So, Dave,
exactly.
why don't you quickly kind of say hi? I'm fine. We are doing okay. I think these are difficult times, so for it's good to kind of start the conversation with a little bit of positivity. Ensuring that everyone is doing good. While we have certain relaxations, but I just want to make sure that all of the people are doing good and fine. So yes, hi Raj, Sakshi is good. Hi Swapna, Priya, hi. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Good evening, Gagandeep. Yeah. So I think I'm glad that you guys are fine and taking care of the regulations which are being asked by the government. These are indeed tough times. So I think all of us understand that it's a very very difficult situation that we are in, and I'm not the first guy who's essentially going to be talking about such a topic, and that too in this particular context around COVID. So what I've tried doing is I have tried giving certain perspective from the entire COVID situation, what I have learned and what we are learning as an organization. I've also tried putting in my own perspective, which is beyond work as well. Some of the learnings which I see working across situations and context as well. So I will not spend much time now. I'll just quickly go on to the small presentation that I have to share.
So we have a very eager listener who's attending this webinar, and he says, "I'm at a quarantine, suffering from corona, and listening to your webinar." So that's how concerned people are about their career that's likely to shape up in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
We really
No,
wish the person,
yeah.
really gets well quickly and is able to come back to normal life.
Got it. So guys, let me give you a very very quick overview in terms of what are we talking about. I'm sure all of us have been reading a lot of news. All of us have been going through a lot of information which is available. Sometimes we tend to consume information which is beyond realities as well, right? So we are actually prone to a lot of useful information, and these are the times where we also go through a lot of speculation as well, a lot of fake news as well. So I thought I'll just try and take an attempt in terms of sharing what exactly is the corona situation and what is the real impact of the COVID in this particular point in time. So these are the four major impacts that I've been able to gather, which are the most significant, I would say, insights. One is the global GDP is something which is really impacted by COVID, and all of us have actually seen that. It's not only about Indian economy, but if you see across the globe, every other economy has also gotten impacted. So what it has done is, it has impacted the global GDP rate, which could shrink by 0.9% in 2020. Why this is interesting is because it was projected to grow at 2.5%, which is a very, very significant drop from the initial projections. So the drop itself signifies what all of us are going through in terms of economic impact. And why this number is important is it's just not about the difference between 2.5 and zero point 0.9. It also signifies the amount of change a lot of developed, underdeveloped, and developing countries are going through. I mean, to give an example, India was supposed to grow more than 6%, right? But now we have also gotten impacted. So this is an average global GDP which we are talking about, which will shrink to about 0.9%. Uh, this information is a little outdated, but the last that I checked was more than 3 million people have gotten infected. In fact, in India, the number has actually gone to more than 1.2 lakhs uh, when I checked last, which was last night as well. So huge amount of infections are happening. This number is continuously keeping on increasing, and we are yet to see when we see a plateau or when we see a flattening out. Certain geographies have already opened their economies, but the numbers are still opening up. If I take India as example, our numbers are still going up while the economy is still opened up. uh, Corona has impacted about 200 plus countries. So when I say 200 plus countries, which means it has impacted each and every country, you know, on Earth. So this is a really, really huge impact, which Corona has had, on every single geography. It is the worst experience that a majority of us are going through. At least in my life, I can tell you that this is the first time I am going through such a scenario, which is the most significant recession since the Great Depression of 1930. Majority of us wouldn't have heard about such a bad economic scenario, and I think our fathers and moms would have also not probably seen or heard about this degree of economic depression. So these are the most significant impacts of COVID-19 that we are experiencing. And the reason why I talked about this very specifically is because this is something which is very, very different than the rest of the pandemics or rest of the difficulties that we have gone through. Right. So while the impact is huge, the degree of magnitude is quite huge. Right. What does it mean to all of us? And what I would like to do is please keep on asking questions on any slide or in general, and we would love to kind of tackle those questions. I give the liberty to Kashish to probably ask them in between or even later as well. Right.
Uh,
So, due to the impact of COVID, uh, this is what has happened to various industries. And I would like to be very, very contextual to the topic as well, because our topic is very, very closely linked to what happens to industries, right? Now, economies are certainly getting impacted, and when economy gets impacted, the industries who form a part of economy gets impacted. There's a very interesting study that we did at MoEngage, which covered about 1.5 billion user data points, and it's a huge data point. These are essentially the mobile app users or the mobile app downloads that you can mention that we looked at across geographies. And we essentially did not only look at the India market, we actually looked at multiple markets. And if you see, there is a very simple quadrant that we have created, and it talks about Southeast Asia, it talks about Europe, it talks about North America, it also talks about India, and also talks about Middle East. Now, the reason of showing this particular slide is based on our study, which comprises of 1.5 billion data points, we realized that the entire industry is broken into four quadrants, or various industries can easily be placed in these four quadrants. Now, the first top right quadrant is
Jitendra sir, sorry to interrupt. The attendees are not able to view the screen very clearly. So maybe we could just go into expand the screen a bit, or should I just? I'm just shifting to
okay.
full screen mode onto the PPT.
No, in fact, I was also
Yeah,
full
yeah.
screen.
No, I mean from the platform that we're using.
Okay, just try and
So
do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just let me know, when this is visible, and I'll proceed.
Yeah, sure. We can go ahead.
Sure, sure. So basically, all the industries in the world are being segregated into four quadrants. The right hand side top one is explosion. The next quadrant to explosion is growth. Uh, the bottom left quadrant is slowdown, and the extreme right bottom is emergence. Now, what it essentially talks about, while there has been a lot of impact due to COVID, now these are times wherein a lot of businesses have latched on to the opportunity. And explosion is the quadrant wherein you have seen huge demand, both from an economic perspective and also from a user perspective. Even though there have been lockdowns, even though people have not been coming out of their houses, but there have been certain industries or certain businesses who have taken, COVID as an opportunity and started doing good. I'll give you an example: video chat applications, online shopping, healthcare, media and entertainment industry, social media are some of the industries who have really, really gone big in terms of user demand. To give an example, I'm sure all of you must be hearing a lot of music, right? And all of us are stuck inside our homes during lockdown. We have started doing a lot of downloads. We have started using a lot of entertainment applications. Now, whether it is talking about Hotstar, it's talking about Netflix, or let's say it's talking about Wink. So the consumption pattern has gone up because of the entire COVID situation. While you look at some of the other businesses, for example, online shopping and social, we have seen a constant and a continuous growth in some of these industries because people have more time to spend. They also have more screen time to spend, when we talk about these applications. Initially, the digital aspect of life was relatively smaller, but now when we are stuck in our homes, we are more digitally adaptive in that case. Now, I'll specifically talk about the industries which are getting slowed down, and this is the third quadrant. So if you see, mobility as an industry has really, really gone down. Now these are cab hailing, cab applications. These are essentially real estate industries. If you talk about travel and hospitality, because there are no flights. I mean, it's good that India has started at 25th onwards, but till now travel has gone through a major pain. All the hospitals, restaurants, food delivery companies have actually seen a lot of slowdown. One industry which is really, really emerging from this is the healthcare industry, and this is specifically to Southeast Asia as well. While we are also trying to improve a lot on healthcare as an infrastructure, but the idea of this particular slide is to give you certain inputs in terms of, yes, there has been a negative impact on a lot of industries which I just spoke about, But at the same time, there is an opportunity which has come out due to the COVID situation. And certain organizations have really, really taken advantage of this particular situation. And these are the industries that a lot of us essentially, are talking about, whether it is entertainment, gaming, social, video chats, video communications, etc. All right. So, so we spoke about
Uh,
COVID, right? I mean, what is the impact of COVID? And we also spoke about what industries are going through. Now,
Jitendra
what is
sir, what the attendees are interested to know is the relevance of the different colored dots on the last slide. So that there are yes these
yeah.
dots, so which represent
Sure,
certain
sure.
figures. So
So let
what
me
is the
just
relevance of it?
yeah, yeah. So let me just explain very quickly. These dots are essentially the industries. Okay. Now, what we have done is we have looked at multiple geographies. So if you see, healthcare is a part of explosion as an industry in North America, Europe, and Middle East. But if you look at healthcare in India, this falls under the slowdown. So we have actually done a differentiation in terms of geographies, because it doesn't mean that online shopping in India is doing great, so it has to do great in Europe as well. The online dots essentially talks about the geographies, right? And hence these are placed in different quadrants. If you look at a growth, online shopping is a blue quadrant. It talks about Southeast Asia, Europe, and in Middle East. So basically, in these geographies, online shopping is demonstrating a significant growth. But if I look at online shopping in North America and India, this is actually in an explosion stage where people are actually consuming and using these particular industries all the more. And if you look at, let's say, food delivery, which is in the slowdown quadrant, in Europe, India, and Middle East, this industry is slowing down. But if you look at food delivery in Southeast Asia and North America, there is a significant amount of growth which is happening. So I hope it is fairly clear. What it talks about is which industry is performing in these four quadrants with respect to the geographies. I hope it is clear to the audience.
Yeah, it's clear to them now.
Yeah, because we also looked at, four or five geographies. So it's also important to look at, how different geographies are also behaving, because we are a very different market than, let's say, a Southeast Asia or a Europe, right? And we wanted to essentially have a look at the global impact, but also have a local impact, because we also have multiple offices at Mo Engage, and we also wanted to see what happens to our clients as well, because we also have a portfolio of clients which is spread across the entire globe. So that's the entire point of looking at this quadrant. Got it. All right. So moving on. So what does it mean? I mean, we just spoke about the impact, and we also see that there are certain industries who are doing good, certain industries who are not doing great, certain industries who have taken this as an opportunity. So what does it mean for us as individuals, as students? And I would like to put this in perspective now, and I assume that there are a lot of students on this conversation who are hearing this. uh, it's a very tricky time for all of us, and students are the one which are most impacted, because if industries are impacted, we have been hearing a lot of news. There is a lot of information which is out there in terms of the job losses, in terms of layoffs, and in terms of offer revokes, and very I would say sad situation in terms of economies opening up and the possibility to hire more. So it impacts all of us. Now I wanted to take a very different view as an individual. I know that there are a lot of students, how you should deal with this particular situation, right? This slide, and I hope all of you are being able to see this slide. Kashish, can you just confirm if this is clear to you?
Yes, this is very clear.
Yeah. So guys, I think if I have to look at the entire COVID situation, it is not very difficult than a game of cricket. And that's the way, I just want to put it. It's very similar to how life is. And I look at life as very, very synonymous to cricket as well. So the entire COVID and corona situation is also not very different. And intentionally, I have put in these 6 photographs on this particular slide. If you see in the first slide, there is Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar, and I hope a lot of people understand cricket here, assuming that a lot of us are dialing in from India. So this is Sachin Tendulkar, who's playing, a shot on a bouncer. And if you look at the right hand side, this is another cricketer, who's just trying very hard to get out of the way. And I'm not very sure whether it had hit him or no. The third picture, the same situation, the same bouncer. Someone is just sitting down under and trying to kind of let it pass. On the fourth picture, which is on the left hand side, Steven Smith, I think, has been hit pretty bad. The rest two pictures essentially talk about what may happen if you don't play it well. So, what is the idea of this particular slide? The idea of this particular slide is the corona, or any other economic situation, or let's say any personal situation, is exactly similar to like a game of cricket. There are times wherein you have to sit under it. There are times where you will get hit by it. There are times wherein you will get injured. There are times where people will come rescue you, get you out of the park as well. This is precisely how a game of cricket proceeds. And the entire COVID situation is nothing different from this. Because if you see, all the fundamental themes of COVID and fundamental themes of cricket are all the same, right? It is dangerous. It can injure you. It can injure you. Uh, you can get tired of this, right? It's fairly aggressive. You need a lot of fitness. And this is what the entire COVID impact has made us to do, right? It has allowed us, or it has actually enforced or impacted us to be at the back foot, go inside a crease, be very defensive because the lockdown is open. You can't go out, right? You can be there, but you still can't score any runs. So there are too many similarities in terms of different situations in life and a game of cricket. All right. So specifically talking about what we should do, or how we should look at this particular scenario, I would say that yes, the gravity and the magnitude of COVID is quite significant, but this situation is also similar to how the other situations have been. And there are some fundamental basics that I have always followed. And the reason why I wanted to essentially talk about cricket is because it's simple to understand, and sometimes the most complex of scenarios or situations can be solved by the most simplest of things, and that's my personal opinion. Now, as students, when we are going through this particular situation, what we should do, this is the most significant and a classic example that I would like to give to you. If you see in these two photographs, people are taking a cricket ball and they are trying to shine it. I'm not very sure whether all of you know or understand why do they shine a cricket ball. In the first picture, uh, the cricketer is trying to shine the ball using his pants or his track pants. In the second one, Dale Steyn is trying to use his saliva to shine a cricket ball. What is the logic for this, right? Why would they do that? I mean, it's just like a simple ball, right? You just go, hold the ball, that's it, score runs. But my dear friends, there is a very, very significant difference, and there is a very, very important reason on why do they do that. And that is one of my very, very significant message to you is invest in yourself. Be like a red cherry. So cricket ball is being called as a red cherry. Okay. Now, why they shine the ball is so that the ball doesn't get too old. And even when it is getting old, they continuously keep on shining the ball, so that the one part of the ball is always shining and is always new. Because if the ball gets old, you will not be able to play a better cricket as a bowling team. So you have to constantly keep on shining, constantly keep on maintaining the ball. We are exactly like a red cricket ball, because if you do not keep on shining, our own skills, if we do not keep on working on ourselves, if we do not keep on maintaining ourselves from a skill perspective, we will be just like an old ball which is of no use. So this is my very, very important and a significant message is all of us have to be exactly like a red ball. Because if we keep shining this, we will always be in practice. We will be able to achieve a lot more swing. We can trouble the batsman and we can achieve what we are set for. Okay, life is challenging. Cricket is challenging too, and the entire COVID impact is also going to be very, very challenging. Now, the entire year 2020, or we talk about 2021, is going to be full of challenges, my dear friends. And I do not want to mince any words, but this is the reality. We will come back from this, but it will take a lot of time. There are a lot of businesses who have already started reworking on their business plan, which is almost 50% down from their projections. Right. So yes, we will come back stronger, but all of us have to accept this fact that it is going to be challenging. So what it means for us as students? All of us have to compete hard. That means because it's challenging, opportunities have reduced, companies are hiring less, a lot of companies are going to select campuses. We have to compete very, very hard now. If we are putting in X effort, we have to start doubling up our effort, because we are not going to win over this if we do not compete hard. Hard work is never ever wasted. Hard work is something which always comes handy to us when we are in a growth market, or we are in a down market, or when we are playing a game of cricket. Second point I want to mention is work on your fitness. Now, I'm not giving this view because I am a sports person or I am a fitness guy or Virat Kohli's picture is presented there. No. Fitness is extremely, extremely important to any individual. And we have seen that in COVID, right? We have been hearing that a lot of people are immune, right? This is exactly how we have to create our own fitness as a professional and as an individual. And I'm not talking just about physical fitness, I am talking a lot about mental fitness. Because when a cricketer goes and starts playing test match, he he is distracted by a lot of things. He gets a lot of bouncers, people bowling at him 150, 160 kilometers per hour, and that is a crazy amount of speed, right? There are too many challenges all of us experience. What do you need in order to be there, be on the pitch, and score higher? The only reason you can do that is you are mentally tough, you are mentally strong, you are mentally fit. Just imagine cricket teams who keep on fielding for about 80 to 90 overs in one single day, and assume if they have to do it 3 days in a row, the amount of mental torture they have gone through. Situations are not very easy. There's too much of humidity, sun, right? And your shoulders are let down, you're bogged down, you don't have any motivation. What do you do? The only reason that you can come out stronger is because you have a fit mind. So please, my dear friends, whether you play any sport, or you do exercises, or you do yoga, or you do any other form of fitness, I would strongly recommend please do that. It is not just about hitting the gym. It's a lot about working on your own fitness. And I'm talking about both mental as well as physical fitness, which will come handy when you are doing your exams, which will come handy when you are competing with others, which will also come handy, if you see more pandemics like this. And the third one, not a very small one, is perseverance. You have to be there, you have to stand on the crease, you get hit, sometimes you bleed. In fact, today also I got injured, I bled, but perseverance is the key. You have to be there because you are not there for a short term. You are there for a long haul. So situations might not be in our favor today, or let's say 6 months down the line, or this year, or probably let's say the next year, but it doesn't mean that situation will not come in our favor. We will have to persevere, we have to be patient enough. While we have worked hard, we have worked on our fitness, we also have to be a lot patient in order to achieve what we want to. All right. So I think this slide actually talks about my message loud and clear. There are three gentlemen on this particular slide. I'm sure all of you would remember these two gentlemen from India. Not very sure if you can recognize the one on the right hand side. MS Dhoni is there, Virender Sehwag, and the Australian gentleman is called as Tim Payne. He's the current uh, Test captain for Australia. Now, what is common uh, amongst these three individuals is how they latched onto the opportunities. Now, they are great names and they have done great in their careers. It's not because they kept waiting for someone. They also went through a lot of hard work. They also went through bad situations. There was time when they did not have any career and they were also starting up. This is precisely how all of us are. And it's specifically very, very synonymous to a lot of students who are passing out this year and who will be passing out next year as well. MS Dhoni, if I'm sure a lot of you would have seen that movie as well, wherein it shows that he was doing pretty bad. You know, his career was about to get stalled, but there was one opportunity which came his way, and that changed his entire career. And now, you know, he is one of the most significant legend that the game has. Again, Virender Sehwag, he was a middle order batsman. He played a couple of matches. He was about to get dropped. He was not the Virender Sehwag that all of us know today. He was given one opportunity to open, and the rest is history. Tim Payne, Australia was beaten down under. There were a lot of say issues when a couple of their players were taken out of the team. He was a young guy in terms of his test tenure, given the opportunity, and then he did great. He won not won the Ashes, but he drew the Ashes, which is a very very significant tournament. Consistent theme amongst everyone, the way they look at opportunities. All of us are also going to be getting a lot of opportunities. We just need to be open in our mindset. We just need to make sure that we work hard enough with that mindset. And whatever opportunity comes our way, if this is in our control, we do our best. There are times wherein things are not in our control. We cannot spend too much time on that. We cannot have a mindset which bogs us down because things are not in our control. What is in our control is to give your best, to perform at the highest, work hard, be patient, and I'm sure if any opportunity comes your way, you're going to knock it down. Okay. Apart from these, there are few other tips that I thought will be handy in this particular time. This is the time where all of us should realize our dreams. Now, this is a time wherein I can start picking up a hobby. I can start playing cricket. I can start being a good gamer, or let's say I can start being a good I would say painter as well. This is a time wherein we have to realize our dreams, because if we do not set a dream, we will not be able to realize. This is never late. And you can put that in a professional perspective as well. If I want to learn more about coding, I should definitely put more hard work into that. If I want to achieve a satisfaction, if I want to achieve more certifications, that's a dream that I have set for. And all of us should start working on those dreams. So set a dream, but also focus on realizing that dream. Second, I spoke about investing in yourself. That's very important, that all of us shine ourselves, but at the same time, let us also know what we bring on the table, right? What is my core skill? What am I good at? What is it that I should be doing, let's say, in the near future? What is something which gives me a lot of satisfaction? What do I want to build my career in? And this is extremely important, and this is a time where all of us should sit down, reflect, Identify what is it that I bring to the table. Try and match those skills to the new opportunities. Now, these opportunities could be on LinkedIn. These opportunities could be on my friend list. These opportunities could be in my relatives, in any organization who's struggling with something. So try and look at these new opportunities. Opportunities can come from anywhere, my dear friends. That's one of my own learning. It can come from anywhere. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, try and identify those opportunities. You know that what you bring on the table, try and map those opportunities with what you bring on the table. And this is the time where all of us have to start focusing on our brand. Work on yourself as a brand, my dear friends. All of us are a brand in itself. I'm sure we see a lot of TV commercials. There is Reebok as a brand, Nike is a brand, even MRF is a brand, right? Every brand signifies something. Every brand stands for something. This is a time where all of us should look at what is brand you. Then only you will be able to create a promise. You'll be able to figure out, okay, what do you bring on the table? You'll be able to figure out what is it that this brand will serve, right? And how large you want this brand to be. So focus on building your brand. The first idea I would want to give is focus on LinkedIn. Look at your LinkedIn profile, talk to your friends, tell them how they perceive you, on LinkedIn, what kind of visibility they have, from your brand. Second is start interacting with people and start building connections. That will also give you a visibility and create your own brand. If you can write, if you can engage, with questions and answers, if you can, be a part of community, that is something which will define what your brand. Be prepared for challenges. I have spoken enough about this in the previous slide, so I'll not talk about this again. The last one is move tactfully. Now, it's a difficult situation. It's going to be there. How do we act? We have to move tactfully. We cannot move in a haste, or we cannot act desperate or sound desperate. I know it's a difficult situation that we are in, but we have to move slow and we have to move tactfully. Because if we are not going to move tactfully, chances are that we are not being able to do the rest of the above. So this is a time where we have to accept quite a lot of challenges. This is a time where I have to think quite a lot and then move accordingly. So, dear friends, this is what I have to suggest in terms of how do we encounter the current situation? How should we look at for shaping our career this year or the next year? I have intentionally not gotten into the technical aspects of thing, because I feel that on this webinar, as Kashish mentioned, there were about 600 registrations. It's humanly not possible to touch upon all the technicalities of all the careers. But what I wanted to talk about is all of us, irrespective of the specialization, irrespective of the institute that we are in, irrespective of the industries that we want to be part of, these are certain things which cuts across, because ultimately life is like a game of cricket, and COVID can also be defeated like a game of cricket. So these are some of the few tips that I have. In the last, I just have a very simple statement to make. Uh, but before I move on to the statement, I have a small video to show to all of you. It's not a very big video; it's a very small video, and I hope you are being able to get a lot of message, because I do not want to explain anything on this particular slide. I think I'll be doing a lot of injustice if I explain this slide. Just look at this video, take away what you understand and what you learn from this, and this essentially talks a lot about how do we get out of the difficult situation. So Kashish, I'm going to play this particular video, and just let me know if the video and everything is fine.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very clear.
sure. So, I'm sure the video itself spoke a lot about what we learn from life, and this is the last quote that I really like. I'm not very sure whether if Dhoni actually said this or no. I got this on the internet, but I really liked it. Till the full stop doesn't come, the sentence is not complete, right? So all of us have to continuously keep on going through ups and downs. They may be short term, they may be slightly longer, but it's still not full stop. So let's keep going the way we are, uh, the way life had been previously as well. Keep putting a lot of hard work, keep persevering, and I'm sure all of us will beat all the odds, exactly like that lizard, which is being shown in that video as well. So with this, I thank all of you guys, especially to Kashish as well, uh, for providing me the opportunity to share, some of these insights. I know that, I have not kept it very technical, but the idea was not to kind of keep it technical. I'm more than happy to answer any specific questions with respect to technicalities, but it was more around how do we navigate this situation. And I just wanted to, provide some very simple basics and tips to that. So thanks a lot. Over to you, Kashish.
Thank you, Jitender. Thank you so much for taking us through a series of insights into what the current situation is and how is it likely to. I mean, specifically, the industries are likely to shape up. We do have questions coming in from the students, and Raghav is keen to know the impact of Corona on banking industry. So if you could
Sure.
please address that.
Sure. So Raghav, if you have seen the news, banking was something which was already part of the essential services industry, even when all of us were in lockdown. So there were a lot of branches which are already open, and while ATM machines have not been operating, a lot of banks had been operating their branches. Now, while I understand that the volume had come down, so instead of 1,000 branches being open, people have actually ensured that there are 100 branches open, because they also wanted to ensure that for corona situation do not go up. While there has been an impact on the traditional banking models or methods, which means that the physical branches were not open, but what has happened is people still need to use banking, right, in some or the other format. So that's why you would see that there is a lot of digital transformation which has happened in the banking and financial industry. I can talk about certain applications, right? You definitely must be using these applications for your day to day purchase. These are payments application, right? When you have to buy grocery, you go in an online e-commerce, put your credit card, create a UPI ID, and then pay through that, right? So what has happened is the usage of these banking applications or the fintech industry has actually gone up, right? And the numbers also say that. While the physical infrastructure of banking has gotten impacted a different way, but there has been a real use case, which has started happening, as far as fintech and payments space is being concerned. Whether you talk about B2B organizations, and B2B organizations are the banking and financial organizations which work with small, I would say enterprises. For example, your kirana shop owner, right? So certain B2B organization works with that kirana shop owner so that the payments can be made more effective, and they are much more faster, right? Instead of the kirana shop guy going to a bank depositing money, but now the branches are open, right? So how do I do my business? So there has been a very interesting shift which has happened in the entire fintech payment space as well. Because see, people have not started living their life, right? It's just that I am sitting inside my home, and I am also transacting quite a lot. I have to order everything using my mobile phone, and that's why digitization has gone up. There are companies, there are applications or startups which are serving you food while you are sitting at your house. They're also serving you let's say these essential services, whether you talk about vegetables, you talk about groceries, you talk about anything else, right? So banking industry has also gotten impacted, more importantly the physical banking industry. But there has been a lot of uptick which we have seen in the fintech and the payment space. I hope that addresses your question, Raghav.
Thank you. The next question is on the same lines by Sonia, and she wants to understand the impact on manufacturing and real estate.
So, manufacturing and real estate have gotten severely impacted. And if you look at the quadrant that I showed, both of these industries fall in the slowdown quadrant, because manufacturing is a very labor intensive industry. You actually need a lot of capital, and you also need a lot of manpower to run a manufacturing unit. And since there was lockdown in effect, not only by India, but also by a lot of countries, including Southeast Asia, there has been a fair amount of impact on manufacturing. Now, you look at any type of manufacturing, whether it is leather manufacturing, or it's automobile manufacturing, or it's, let's say, FMCG manufacturing. There has been an impact on each and every manufacturing organization, right? Because by virtue of the government rules and regulations, we have to shut down our units, right? And if the units are shut down, there is no production which will happen, right? If the production is not going to happen, that means the raw materials are not going to get consumed. If raw material is not going to get consumed, then vendors and suppliers of that particular manufacturing unit is getting impacted. So it's a very vicious cycle as well. And that's why manufacturing has gone through a very significant impact and falls in the slowdown quadrant. Similarly, this is the case with real estate, right? And real estate in India is a very different ballgame altogether, because we can, a lot of us can still buy online, a lot of us can still order, let's say, fashion clothes, but we do not buy flats or houses online. We can't, because that doesn't go with the entire cultural and social upbringing for us as Indians. Because for us, real estate is something else. It's more around, it's more around emotional well-being and emotional satisfaction for us. And that's why you would have seen that whenever we talk about real estate, it is still a very old traditional thought process which all of us have specifically in India. And hence, if people are not being able to go out, people are not being able to check out flats, and this requires something, this requires a lot of physical presence and physical due diligence from the buyer's perspective, right? If that's not happening, that means a lot of real estate demand has gone down. Now, this is something from a user perspective. Now, let me comment this from a builder or from a manufacturer perspective, right? If we do not have sufficient manpower, similarly to a manufacturing company, right, I am not being able to complete the projects which are already on. Now, I was about to finish a project, let's say in 6 to 8 months, and in the last 4 months, people are not available due to lockdown. And in fact, a lot of migrant population has also gone through a lot of challenges, especially in India, wherein these guys have gone back, to the rural places or the places that they come from, which has impacted the real estate businesses quite significantly. And my dear friends, again, these are not just about that, a company is shut down, right? You also have to look at a builder has taken huge amount of loan from the banks, right? Now, banks are still charging real estate. Now, what does a real estate guy do? So this is a very vicious cycle, and hence, we look at economy very differently. So manufacturing and real estate, yes, there has been a downstream impact which will still continue for some time. Manufacturing companies have still started going back, because there have been relaxation in terms of manpower availability and the kind of services that you can manufacture. So yes, but real estate is going to go the same way for some time. Manufacturing might come down after 2 quarters or come back after 2 quarters, slightly lower than what it used to be.
Thank you, Chitindra sir. So, on the same lines, on the same context, our legal framework or the legal fraternity is still, going the traditional way, or what used to be going the traditional way. Now, Rama wants to know. Now, the courts are hearing the cases on online platform, which will indeed affect the fresh advocate. So, how to uh, come up to the situation? How to face this situation?
Kashish, can you come again? I could not understand the question.
Sure. So the legal fraternity is facing the same challenge like in case of real estate. So the courts have initially, earlier used to work. The courts used to work in the court spaces, but now the courts are taking up the cases on the online platform.
Yeah.
So Rama feels that it will affect the fresh advocates who are just getting into the practice. So how, as a fresher, should they come up to the learning curve?
So, if I understood the question clearly, I'm not very sure whether it will impact the passing out of fresh advocates, because it's only the environment which has changed, right? So uh, technology is being used by our courts due to this corona situation. Now that has just moved the location from a physical court to, let's say, an online court, right? And I just feel that it's just a change of environment which has happened. It is very similar to how we are experiencing in offices, right? We used to operate in our physical office. Now our offices are closed. All of us have moved back to our houses, and we are using technologies for doing all the video calls, communications, emails, etc. While this is not 100% similar to the legal fraternity, but yes, what it will do is it will also create another opportunities for digital transformation. And I think uh, we will not be able to see advocates in the legal courts for some time. But I think as the relaxations are being conceptualized, we will definitely start seeing people in courts with certain restrictions. But with the advent of technology, I don't think this will change the need for advocates. If that is a real question that someone wanted to ask, it's only the environment which has
Yeah.
changed. But I think there's another way to look at this is, in India, legal system is one system which is really really archaic even today, right? And a lot of people have actually been advocating use of technology as well. And let's just assume that if the legal and the judicial system starts leveraging technology, this is exactly similar to usage of ATMs in banks, right? When ATMs came, everyone was scared that, okay, the cashier jobs will go away. But I mean, it has given us a very very different experience altogether. So it's a lot about experience as well. And I'm sure with technology coming in, we'll definitely see lawyers and advocates doing a much greater and a much efficient job as well, because technology will help us to evolve as well.
Sure, thank you. The next question is kind of a very basic one, and it is more of a personal choice, understanding what one's potential is. But then, there are two students who have brought this up. Both of them are computer science students, and they want to know what specialization or, what field should they choose for MBA.
Okay, what field do they choose for MBA? Okay. Have they
Yeah.
given any other have they given any other information about themselves?
No, so they have just completed their BTech in computer science. So that's what the
Okay.
basic information that we have.
Okay. So Kashish, while I still try and answer this question, but I still will put a lot of disclaimers. Had I known some more information about
Right.
about the students in terms of what are their choices are, what have they done in BTech, why do they want to do an MBA, I would have been in a much better position to suggest, not prescribe, but suggest which one should they go for. Because I am someone, and I don't think that is the right way to look at this. It's not just about that I have done a BTech and the next thing for me is doing an MBA. To give an example, I never wanted to do an MBA. I was a physics honors. I was a gold medalist from Gujarat University, right? But I ended up doing an MBA in HR. So I mean, for me, I mean, I'm not subscribing to the fact that you should all be like me, wherein you let things happen by chances. But I think you need to sit down. You know, whoever has asked this question, please sit down, try and understand what are you good at. What are some of the things that you're really good at, and you would want to deliver value on. If you think that it's marketing, if you think it is HR, if you think it is operations, because a lot has to do with, one, your own inclination. Second one is the opportunities which are available in the market. Third is also the institute that you would want to choose, right? Because there are certain specialized institutes for HR, certain specialized institutes for, let's say, social science, marketing, etc., etc. So it's going to be a combination of a lot of factors. I would really advise, sit down, take a pen and paper, identify what you are good at, what sort of those skills will be handy in your MBA. Because MBA is not just about kind of just taking care of something different, right? It's a lot about polishing your existing skills and giving you a platform and helping you evolve, right? So that's what you should do. Create an analysis of your own self, and then look at whether you want to do an MBA, or you should go for an MTech, or you should go for an MSc, or let's say you need to go for a creative course.
Sure. Thank you so much for answering that. One of the questions that came in during the time of registrations was, due to the pandemic, what changes can be expected in the recruitment process? So, as an HR professional, how do we see the changes in the recruitment process?
So one of the most significant change which has happened is because the entire process has gotten changed, right? So there has been a disruption in the entire industry. If you are not interviewing someone face to face, what do? You have to start leveraging technology. So one of the most significant changes, leveraging technology has gone big, and people have started leveraging technology in their entire recruitment process. Now it's not just about looking at a profile and identifying who fits the best. That still used to happen using technology, but now there are conversations around interviewing which are happening on technologies. Now, if I talk about Moinge specifically, now our entire process is digital now, right? So all the face-to-face conversations, coding rounds, design architecture rounds, everything is happening, virtually. And I think, we have come to this particular model sooner than later. There has been a lot of change which has been happening in the market for quite some time, but I think we needed Corona to actually move us from a physical infrastructure to a virtual infrastructure. And this is the most significant change which has happened is people are now more comfortable with technology. People are more comfortable interviewing, on videos as well. And yeah, so it's not only recruitment, it's a lot of other HR processes which have gone through a change. For example, we are doing all our onboardings virtually. So which means getting someone from outside the organization, onboarding them, giving them an overview, helping them transition, helping them get trained in the initial 2 weeks. So everything has become virtual. So yeah, huge amount of change, especially in the HR processes.
Sure, thank you. The next question is basically revolves around the future scope for HR professionals in India and overseas.
uh, Sorry, can you come again the question?
The future scope for HR professionals in India and overseas. How does the picture look like?
So that's a very interesting question as well. uh, See, I think the scope of HR professionals has always been there. Uh, it's just that every year it keeps on changing and shifting. And I wouldn't say it's only about an year. I think every profession moves with economy. and that's a reality. So if I talk about 2000, 2002 IT boom, I'm not very sure how many of you were actually there also, and how old you guys were. But that time, we essentially were talking about an IT boom, and then everyone was going and becoming a part of IT. And if you talk about the next 2008, 2009, I mean, IT industry was behaving very differently. And 2008, 9 was more around banking and financial sectors, right? And now if you look at 4 or 5 years back, computer science is something, which again kind of, came back to the fore. So I think every profession, is a function of what happens in the economy, both national and international. If the economy is performing differently, and economy is also a combination of industries, right? Manufacturing, core sectors like electricity, distribution, transportation, etc., etc. Now these industries also govern what kind of skills do they need to have. If startups have gone big in the last, let's say, 5 to 6 or 7 years, it is primarily because technology started playing a very different role. And in the last 5 to 6 years, if you see, everyone wanted to become a technologist. Now even today everyone wants to be a software engineer. And in fact, I've spoken with a lot of people, I've interviewed a lot of people who are part of electrical are now coming and being becoming software engineers. Electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers, everyone wants to be part of that IT because this is the IT boom. And there are startups because they work with technology. But that's not the right way to look at this. Every specialization or function has a value to contribute to, uh, in the industry and to the economy as well. Now economy will have certain industries going up and going down. I mean, there is a lot of seasonal and cyclical nature in that. So I wouldn't say that any one specialization has a larger scope, has a higher scope. Now the scope keeps on moving up and moving low with respect to how economy starts playing. So if you ask me, all specializations have value attached to them. All specializations are equally important. If you talk about information technology, that is equally important as a human resource function versus a marketing function versus, let's say, a digital marketing or a content writing or, let's say, a sales or a business development. And I can give you umpteen examples of just one organization in which why everyone is different. Let's say if there is a growth startup, which is growing from 30 people to about, let's say, 500 people in a span of about 2 or 3 years. What do these guys need? These guys need a recruitment professional to be able to hire these guys, right? So the scope of recruitment is quite huge in that particular startup. Now why are they hiring these 500 people? Because they want these guys to go out in the market and sell their product. So who is extremely important in this case? The sales guys, the BD guys are extremely important. Now when you have a workforce of 500 people who's going out and who's selling products, who needs to do the accounting and who needs the collections, and who needs to do the entire taxation of product moving from point A to point B, etc., etc., right? Here comes the finance, taxation, and excise guys, right? So I think it is purely dependent in terms of at what stage the organization is and what stage the economy and the industry is. And I hope I did give a long answer to a short question, but I think I just wanted to give the right message.
Thank you. The next question is again on the industry, and people are keen to know what is Industry 4.0.
Sorry, what's the question?
What is industry? What do we mean by Industry 4.0? I think the students must have heard this
Okay,
terminology somewhere, and they're keen to know what is Industry
sure.
4.0.
Okay, so guys, I'll be quite honest. I'm not aware about what is Industry 4.0. Uh, I'm just aware about the industries which are there outside, and I've been tracking multiple industries since last I would say 15 odd years. But I'm really not very sure for what do you mean by when you say Industry 4.0, because facts, data, and even information suggest that every industry is evolving, right? And there's no particular timeline that I have been able to attach in terms of, okay, 20 years back this was industry 1.0, and then it was industry 2.0. So I'm not really aware about industry 4.0. What I can mention is the entire economy is going through a lot of change, a lot of shift, fundamental shifts. I can speak about India. India as an economy, is really been at the forefront, and we were one of the fastest economies, till very recently. I mean, till the time Corona came and changed the equation. So everyone has been looking at us because we have been doing a lot of industrial reforms. The government has been after a lot of economic reforms as well. A lot of industries have become a part of the India economic mainstream. Contribution of startups have actually gone up. Technology has started really gone up. The usage of technology has created significant amount of opportunities. So if you really mean that this is what industry 4.0, you can still take it. But I feel that every industry keeps on evolving and keeps on changing. I'm not really able to kind of put a number to that. So yeah, I mean, India as a country or as an economy, will still be very, very attractive. We have seen that with a very recent example of Geo. I think that's the most recent example that I can quote. If that signifies anything to 4.0. While there is a COVID situation, organizations are struggling with cash and funding, and Geo comes as a big boss, and gets 5 rounds of funding, I guess, in 5 weeks, which is huge. So yes, I think we are already at industry 4.0.
So, which industries do you think will be lucrative or maybe more lucrative in 2021, 22? I guess that's what the students, those are the
Yeah,
industries which students are looking to focus on.
sure. So I think technology is going to be technologies will continue to be a lucrative industry, I would say. Right, even today, uh, uh, we are seeing that a lot of organizations are saving and conserving cash because they want to invest in technologies, and a lot of organizations are also coming up in these difficult situations. So technology is something which will continue to be a big industry. And within technology there are different type of organizations. There will be startups who will come big. There are going to be existing startups will become big. There are going to be traditional I would say corporate houses which provide IT and IT enabled services as well. So one industry which will continue to do well is going to be technology. Second industry which will continue to see quite a lot is any industry which is based on consumerism. Because if you see, everything is now revolving around consumers, and there are a lot of organizations who have started creating business models wherein they just want to acquire a customer, and then they will provide everything else. So if I become a customer, they will give me, let's say, a smartphone branded by their own company. They will also give me a digital TV, right? With which is packaged into that smartphone. So I might, when I buy the smartphone, I will get, let's say, a 3 month free subscription of that digital TV. When I buy that, there is another bundle which is being created from an entertainment perspective, that hey, you are buying this smartphone, you got a 3 month digital TV, you'll also get a 6 month free XYZ movie subscription. And while you do that, you should also take care of your entertainment. So here comes another 3 month of music subscription, right? So I just gave this as a very, very simple and layman example, because what is happening is organizations are going after consumerism, right? So you pick up a consumer and then you keep serving everything. Look at what Amazon has done and what Amazon is trying to do. They came, started an online e-commerce war with Flipkart. Then they launched their grocery model, which is these vegetables, dairy, milk, and now Amazon is in war with Flipkart, right, and providing essential services. Now, while there is a grocery model which they have created, they also went after Netflix and they launched Amazon Video, right? So this is more in terms of consumerism. So any business which tackles consumerism is going to survive and thrive. Now, this will be FMCG as well. This will be online e-commerce as well. Fashion is going to go big. Technology, anyways, is going to go big. So yes, there are definitely industries which are going to go big. Gaming is another industry. If you want to really ask me, for there is a huge amount of potential which is there in the gaming industry. And as a country, we have really not scratched the surface so far. So gaming is one industry, which is going to be pretty big, along with the media entertainment.
Sure. How do you see hacking as a career option? I mean, it's kind of a little extended version of the same question that we were answering with then.
So to be quite sure, I essentially have not looked at hacking as a career, or I have not heard of hacking as a career. Yes, yes, there is a lot of hacking which happened,
Yeah,
but
of
there is
course,
always
ethical hack. Yeah,
yeah,
ethical
yeah, there's
hackers.
a lot of negative connotation, right? So I want to differentiate between hacking. So if this is the other type of hacking, then I'm not really the right person. But in terms of ethical hacking, I wouldn't still say hacking, but I say that security plays a huge amount of role in the organizations. So I would still say that security, data security, is something which a lot of organizations are placing importance in, right? And anyone and everyone who manages a big server, who manages huge amount of data, will have opportunities with respect to security. Now, whether you call it hacking, you want to break the code and figure out whether you're done well or no. I think people still want to kind of put those quality checks in their organization. So yes, quality and security is something which will always be integral part of any technology business. So that will continue to be there.
Sure. And since Core HRIR is all about HR fraternity, how can we close today's webinar without a very valid question, which is essential qualities to be a successful HR professional?
Okay, essential qualities to be an HR professional.
To be a successful HR
So
professional.
Uh, see, I really don't know what are those qualities to be a successful HR professional, and neither do I want to prescribe that, okay, if you have these qualities, you can be a great HR professional. But I think there are some things, which I have experienced, which I have learned myself, and I feel that, for these qualities have helped me, and I've seen that in practice, are the ones that I can essentially talk about. So one of the thing which is extremely important is how much do you understand business, and how much do you integrate HR with business. And I think we have been saying this since ages, and I don't want to use that old phase of HR needs to be a strategic business partner. I think I have been hearing that since the time I was doing my MBA. So I really have huge question marks in terms of that statement. And I'm waiting for when we actually become a strategic business partner. But I feel that as an HR guy, I need to be able to understand business, and I need to be able to integrate HR with the business strategies or business outcomes. That's one thing which is extremely important. Because let's say if business is not doing well, am I being able to think through some strategies which has an impact on business? Right. So that's one thing which is extremely important. Second, extremely important thing that I feel is someone has to be very, very agile and very fast in thinking and also executing. And majority of the times, for HR folks have been treated, very differently, because, and that's why, we don't have a seat on the table, because, we don't understand business, and we are also not that agile in leading the HR function with business. We actually are considered lot many times, a reactive function. So I think we should be able to be very, very agile when we are taking any calls, or we are building up any initiatives. We should not decide an initiative and then implement in business. We should actually understand business and then implement initiatives. And I have a very, very strong view on this, because majority of the times people have a very clear calendar and agenda saying that these are the things we will do, without having an understanding of what the business needs or what the organization needs. We actually need to go the other way. That's number two. Third, my personal favorite is you got to walk the talk and you have to be very firm. Uh, and this is not just about HR. I think this is a lot about being a professional. Whether I am a consultant or I'm an HR guy, or let's say I'm a sales guy, I have to be very very firm, and I have to stand my ground and walk the talk. So I think, yeah, these are the three most important ones that I feel makes an HR guy effective. Uh, yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that. A budding or maybe an aspiring entrepreneur wants to know how to become a successful entrepreneur. And this is the last question for this webinar. We close after this.
Okay, what is the question again?
How to become a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, so if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, then you should never try entrepreneurship. I think that's my simple answer, because you cannot want to become an entrepreneur, if you already have uh, these items defined in your head. An entrepreneur is not about success. An entrepreneur is something who's passionate about his idea. An entrepreneur is someone who wants to build something, who wants to create something. And there are lot many times where people fail, right? Now, you can't be an entrepreneur if you just want to taste success, or if you do not have any margin for error. I don't think you can be an entrepreneur. Uh, I can't say that every entrepreneur can be a success, but yes, every entrepreneurship experience or opportunity teaches you something. And there are thousands of entrepreneurs in India, even the big names as well. They were not successful the first time. It actually does not go, you know. So entrepreneurship and success, you cannot always correlate, right? It's a lot of failing, it's a lot of learning, it's a lot of patience, which people take out from entrepreneurship opportunities, and then clubbed with a lot of patience, their idea becomes successful, right? So there is no one single mantra of this. You have to keep learning what you want to. You have to keep failing. You have to be very fast, very agile. You have to be very passionate. Make sure that you do not get married to your idea. That is one of the most significant advice that I can give you. Majority of entrepreneurs fail because they get married to their idea. You should know when your idea is not working, and you should try and move on. It is similar to, if you have a girlfriend, you had a breakup, you're not ready to kind of move on, right? You will just keep dragging. You'll not focus on something else. You'll not make the relationship successful. When it's time, the idea is not working, you have to move on. So there are a lot of I would say factors which are involved in a successful full entrepreneurship. But I think these are some of the ones.
Thank you, Jitendra sir, for answering all those questions. We have overshot our time, and such was the enthusiasm of the students who have been attending this webinar. So, I would really like to thank you, Jitendra sir, for taking our time on a busy weekend. And
Mhm.
I would like to thank all of the attendees who have taken our time to attend this webinar.
Mhm.
They have contributed in a way to the spirit of learning and the vision of learning. And this is really motivating for us and really helps us keep going ahead in the direction of achieving our mission. So I would also like to thank the core HRIR team and our mentors and so many people behind the scenes without whom we wouldn't have been able to make it this far. And please do share your feedback. Do let us know what is it that we can bring to the table. How is it that we can improve the series or any other initiatives that we have? Thank you once again. Thanks all
Yeah.
of you. Thank you, Sudhindra sir. Have a great Sunday ahead.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Kashish, as well. And I'm more than happy to connect with any of you guys. These are my credentials. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Twitter. I'm more than happy to help you in any manner that I can. not only with respect to jobs, because one thing that I receive is after these conversations is a resume. I'll try and help whatever is the best that I can do, but would love to kind of make a difference to your lives, in terms of any advice or any suggestions that you want. So yeah, let's get connected, and happy to kind of hear your feedback.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks.